Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. This is Omi's Production Studio coming at you. I am your host today, Omi Inca 7, and we are live bringing this discussion to you. To all of you that might be out there, my site is brand new to some of you, and to others, you may have followed me from Facebook. And I'd like to welcome each and every one of you by saying Habari Gani. And this evening or morning, wherever you might be, our topic is why have not the priestess, Apetbees, InYanifia offered their ASHAY to our failing children who have deficits that could benefit from our ASHAY. Now, this topic is being brought to you on behalf of children. I am a school teacher, and my concern for the children is great. As you can see, I fashion everything around the children and passing on legacies. And how can you pass on a legacy to children when they are not aware of your gifts, when they are very, very in touch with the Spirit? They are more so in touch with the Spirit than we are, because we have to form our minds like a little child in order to be in touch with the Spirit. But they just wake up talking about God and their imagination, because in their mind, God exists as an imagination, as He would in even our minds, because we don't know the mind of God. We don't know the makeup of God. We don't even know how God looks, but we have to become like a little child. And when we become like a little child, we use our imagination quite a bit. And sometimes children begin to talk to themselves. And if we could direct that talking to spirits and not to other demons and imps that are out there, because they're waiting for our children to signal them. Yes, they are. And they may take them in a different direction. But if you teach the children early on about spirits and how to contact spirits and how to use the spirits when they're in a tizzy or need help, then they will always turn to the spirit. And that's something that you can't take away from them. And that's something, a little bit too much eyeshadow this morning, okay? That's something you can't take away from them, because if they're ever in trouble and they are in a hidden place, they can always contact the spirit. And you would have taught them this gift. Yes, it is a gift, because to be able to get in contact with the spirit and to allow that spirit to mount you or to give you answers to solution is the ASHAY that you will be passing on to these children. Now, I am questioning, why are so many failing children in school? And we have teachers going back for all kinds of endorsement, all kinds of specialties. Oh, they're up to the height with their degrees and PhDs and EDDs and BS. And it is BS, is what it is. Because if we would take teachers from the natural realm and put them in a classroom and ask them to use their own mother with, we get a better results from them, because they would go from their unction, from their spirit. They'll be spirit led in the classroom, and there wouldn't be so many black boys geared up and ticketed up and tagged up, toe tagged, and ready to go to special ed. My goodness, could you be that good that the first week you've already assessed this child and you know that there's completely nothing you can do to mainstream him, to stay in the mainstream and to give him a proper education? Could you be that good that you've already targeted that this boy is incapable of learning and that there's nothing you can do for him? You're not using your skills. Anytime you give a child over to special ed and say, I give up, I surrender, you come out with your hands up. You might as well give your notice and say, this field is not for me. But if you continue to stay there, then the principal should require that you go in and work with that child and make that child over. You don't have to have them fit with the status quo, with the norm, all cookie cut children walking and talking at the same time, answering you and responding in the appropriate time. No, that's where we've gone wrong. Every child will come to us with their own unique set of issues. They all are geared up to have a caustic record, meaning they already are geared for learning. It's nothing you can do to rig up in a child for learning. He's already rigged up for learning. In his caustic record, he has accepted his ancestors' caustic record, which are the full sum total of who they were. So he's geared up, just like you were. No teacher taught you anything. They saw the gift in you and they adduced the knowledge and gave you their ASHAY and brought that knowledge forth. They called it forth. They called it into being. Some children had to wrestle through more circumstances than others for them to bring forth that gift. Then there were some that were too shy that you had to go in and stir up the gift in. All teachers are facilitators to stir up the gift that's already in a child. But why are we failing so many children, and so many children are falling prey to special ed? Does special ed have any special gift? Are they spiritualists over there or something? Why, they should be, because if they're the rainmakers and they can make it rain, my goodness, they can make an average child into a genius. But they're not children and fixing them. They have so many children that are in need of repair that are still sitting in special ed, even up to 22 years old. They're coming out still broken. Now I'm going to fault you priestess and priests, Apetbees and InYanifia who are out there in that school district, and you know you are. And you walk in that classroom, that trouble classroom, which no one wanted to take, which all of the teachers quit, and some of them were put out. And you walk in that classroom and you are holding a gift in your hand of a priest or priestess, InYanifia or Apetbees, and you have the ability to use your magic to adduce that knowledge in that child. All you need to do is wave your wand over the child's head and get him to change his idea about learning. But yet we have children that are not only failing at 4th grade, but at kindergarten. How is it that you can give up on a child at kindergarten? And you are an expert and a specialist, and now you've given up on the child at kindergarten. And you're telling the parent, well, he just can't learn or she just can't learn. We're recommending this child to be retained. When I hear the teachers give that speech to a parent that has a child that's just entering in the system and no work has been done on that child, no buffeting has been done on that child, I fear for our futuristic leaders of the world, because therein lies a genius who is slow to thrive. Over the summers, children grow an extensive amount. They learn an extensive amount, and they develop. And some of the children who are not developed, no matter how much education you give them that year, they won't be fully developed and fully hatched until that summer. So let's give them that summer. Principals, you are getting your directions from the teachers who are turning in their list of children who are going to be retained. And you ask them at a certain date, will they please provide you with those children, especially the ones in kindergarten that you are going to have to retain. Now, the speech should be, teachers, I don't want any kindergarten child retained under any circumstances. We have the tools here where we can fix them. They are correctable. We have the tools here that during the year our speech teacher can bring them up to the language quota or spectrum. We have the tools here where we can bring in the social services to work with the child one-on-one to give them that attention that they have not been getting at home. Of course, you know they're not getting attention at home, right? Mothers are just having children and they are laying them to the side and giving them no mental or spiritual attention. So their spiritual gifts have not been stirred up. So the principal's message should be, do not retain any children that are kindergarten, that we will have a specialist come in December. Send the notes home to the parents, letting them know that your child will be going to extended kindergarten in the month of December. And when we bring our specialist in to work her magic, then we can see how it's done. Then she will lead you in a discussion and come and take over your class and direct you as to how to signal out those difficult learners or who are differentiated learners and who are learners that must have a little more time. And she will teach you how to work with your children. So in the next coming school year, you will have the tools you need to fix any child that's coming through here that's broken. But why are we sending so many children to special ed and they're not your spiritualists? They get an endorsement, but it's not in spirituality. It's just an endorsement in more busy work, busy work, but it's not giving them an expertise in children, child development specialists. Those teachers should have a child development endorsement to understand the ages and stages of an infant, toddler, preschooler, kindergartner. If they don't have that, I don't care how much special ed training you say you gave them last week at their orientation. They are training themselves how to defend themselves against combated children. They're also training themselves to come up with more punishment and gruesome punishments that don't have tattletale signs, where they can put the child in a disciplined cage and they can rough the child up and give the child ultimatums and make a deal with the child they can't refuse. In other words, they can administer corporate punishment and settle the child down. If it's not with the meds, then it might be a beating to the head. Yes, there are some so-called specialists in special ed that are using corporate punishment to settle the child down. But yet, if a normal teacher would use those tactics, she's not endorsed to use corporate punishment. Only that special ed expert is. Well, I don't call her a special ed expert because the way you win children, have I drawn you with love and kindness? It is not through bullying and using corporate punishment. But yet we have children that know spirituality and they can sense that you are a spiritualist because they have the twinkle in their eyes too. And when they see you, they wink at you, knowing that you are one of them, one of those who are called the gifted child. But yet they have a behavior problem and you can't put your finger on the gift because the behavior problem keeps showing up. Don't you know that spirit recalls all things to us and calls us to have remembrance? These are children with a very vivid imagination. Then be a part of their vivid imagination. Allow them to dream and be in contact with those dreamers, because those are the ones who will find solutions for our end time world problems. But we are the specialists. Yes, we are. We're the priests, priestess, and the priests, Apetbees, and InYanifia. And we're not doing a doggone thing with our gift, but hovered in. I've been initiated. I went to Africa, and the chief initiated me, and I am the high Apetbees. I assist the Babylons. I was initiated over in Nigeria, and I do speak a little Yoruba, and I sit with some of the finest to do their readings and their oracle divinations. I am a member of Yaminye. Opatala is my father. He sits on my head too. Yes, you're ready to brag about all of your initiation gifts, but what are you doing with it? You're waiting for someone to call you up on the phone and say, Priestess, when can I see you? Can you get me in for an appointment? I need you to do an oracle reading. But yet mothers are going from place to place, from psychics to psychics, from social workers to social workers, and from psychiatrists to psychiatrists, trying to find the answers to their children's imagination problem. Their children's teeth are set on edge because the parents have eaten bitter grapes. And that is really the cause of the problem, the home life. So if you got all of these initiated people, where are they doing their work at? Where are they being hired at? Why is it such hush-hush and quietness? And only those parents that are familiar with oracle reading can reach these people. Only those parents that have gotten a referral or a reference letter from someone else that works with oracle reading can get to these people. Why are parents taking these children to these head readers, to these people that give head washing, or can do oracle reading to tell them what is a missing link between that child and school as to why that child doesn't want to be there, or as to why that child cannot open up his follicles and his dendrums to learning? Well, Apetbees, who are assistant to the Babylons, and InYanifia, who are supervisor over all of the initiates and working with the priestess, they have the solution. But we're not using them for that purpose. They're laying dormant. Well, let me tell you what I decided to do. Being a priestess and knowing that you can't just act on your own, you need a communal support system, and you need to reach out to those, be in other states, faraway places, but you got to connect because they don't have them all in one place. The way we connect is through our internet system. And the way we file a directory of all those priestesses, Apetbees, InYanifia, and priestesses, we file their names in directories, and we do an evaluation of their skills, and they submit documents to our directory and indicate they would like to be on file so they can be referred to people who are looking for spiritualists who could work directly with their children. We failed in all sources of special ed. We have failed. I'm sorry. I don't care how much progress you made last month. You have failed when it comes to having a solution for children in special ed. You first had to pull out, take them to the special ed. Then you had the set-ins where the actual special ed came to the children. You have done everything you can possibly do in special ed with no real remedy. And that's a shame, because we are supposed to be the experts and the specialists, but we are not getting any satisfaction. You can't get no satisfaction without the spirit. And when you are functioning basically as an atheist in a classroom and you're not using your spiritual magic, then you are no worth to the special ed department. You must have a special eye where you can see things that others can't see, and feel things and sense things and know things, because that's why you're called the special ed. You're a specialist, or supposed to be. But yet we're not lending our ASHAY. We're not going into these meetings and say, let's be mindful of meditation. And let's all go into meditation today. Let's meditate on the problem. allowing ourselves to synchronize our synchronicity. And as we synchronize our synchronicity, we will come with a solution and maybe simultaneously, but let us walk into the valley where there is peace and we can relax our minds. We can go beyond the waterfall and feel that there is a solution for our end time problem. Let us walk through the deep, deep forest and call Mother Yaminye by her name and ask her to take us to the ponds, the brooks, the rivers, and then we approach the ocean. Let us leave our offering here at the riverside where we can petition on behalf of these children. Let us do this in meditation. Yes, mindfulness and meditation needs to be taught in these so-called specialist rooms. We need an overhaul of special ed. They need to be spiritualists, and they need to take up training with Baba laws and priestesses and Apetbees and InYanifias, so that they too will have the spiritual gift. The children know when you have it, and they will wink at you and let you know, I'm one of those children that is gifted. If you can see in the spirit realm, you can see in me. Why aren't we lending this ASHAY to the children? Because these are our geniuses, not troublemakers, not BD behavior problem, but children who also hold a gift. And there's no child that I've ever met that did not hold a gift. They all hold a shining gift. But yet we're pompous and proud with our initiation, and we're all over the YouTube saying, I'm going to do a reading. I'm going to throw some cards. When are you going to throw the OB? Or when are you going to do the 16 cowrie shells? Or when are you going to do the real doggone thing and read the aura and the energy? I say you're placating and impersonating a replicate. But God doesn't produce any replicates. Each one of us are geniuses and unique in our own ways. Then why haven't you come together to look at this all-time solution of children leaving the public school, leaving the charter schools, and now going to the home schools? Great God Almighty, the home schools are in effect today. That's where we should be, coming in as consultants to guide spiritually each one of those children's direction for their education, to help them grow up more attentive to their spirit and being led by their spirit, so that when they run the corporation and when they run the world bureaucracy, then you know that they're running them with the spirit in mind and they're not operating alone. But homeschools can utilize these priestesses. You have a job to do. You don't have to wait for the phone to ring for someone to call you over and say, I want a man. Can you tell me how I can get a man? What does the reading say about when I'm going to be getting married soon? Because I really, my clock is ticking and my eggs are getting old and I want to go ahead and have some children. Yes, yes. This is what you're waiting for. People who don't need your services, who are trying to get their ear full on how they can get a man. But you got children that can benefit from you right now. You can turn them around and it could be a right now faith for them. Just to go in these schools and to have your presence known, people will know that you can turn so-called bad children around. Well, I was noted for the teacher that could turn so-called bad children around. So they put all the bad children in my class. As a matter of fact, they put 16 so-called diagnosed attention deficit disorder black boys in my class. Oh, it was supposed to be hell for me that year. They didn't know how I was going to fare. I was supposed to be catching it. But they caught it when they found out I got these boys to read. I got these boys to organize themselves. And there weren't any more bad boys, so to speak of, in Mrs. Garth's class, because they were in a drill team, putting their intention and their energy where it counts. I say bad behavior is a lack of instruction. You only have bad behavior when you don't have any instruction. And boy, did I introduce them to instruction and adduce the knowledge in them where they didn't have the energy left to even act out. So I want to tell you from a perspective of a priestess. Yes, in the classroom, I had to work my magic. Because they used to say, you must be magic or something, Miss Gar. I couldn't get this boy to do his homework if it saved his life. He wouldn't finish his spelling. He didn't review anything for a test, but you done turned him around. He's studying at home. He's reviewing for a test, and he's doing fantastic thanks to you. You a miracle worker. No, I wasn't. She had the same thing that I had. All she had to do was tap into her spirit and say, Spirit, Spirit, I need you to come in here and help me with these children today. I need you to go in front of me and make the way open and clear. And the Spirit would always oblige. See, when you teach your parents to be spiritual, and your child is already spiritual, he's dreaming, he's seeing things, he's talking to people, he has imaginary friends, he is in the Spirit. Don't worry about him. You get in the Spirit with him. But we got some problem because we got all of these credentials now and no place to go to work because we're trying to figure out why so-and-so didn't pay last week, and every week he wants a reading and he's still behind on his payment and you can't get a payment. But when you go in as a minister, get your ministerial license. You go in as a counselor, a ministerial counselor. Use all your gifts together with your spirituality and your initiation training too. Now you can go in fully loaded, ready to go in on that panel and work from a spirit realm and change the condition of that child. You don't necessarily have to change the environment because you can't change that. You have no control of that. But change the condition of that child and how the child sees himself and in the world, then you can make a difference. But we cannot go on any farther saying that the children are smarter than us, they've been here before, and there's nothing we can do with them. You are the one that created that monster. And you are the one that's going to have a solution to make a change. They accused me of having a close relationship with children and they liked me and that's why they would listen to me. No, I first of all had to see the child and I had to let the child know I saw him. I know his name and he wasn't whatchamajigger and that boy over there and him over there. No, I knew them and I knew something about them, what they like to do. I knew something about their character. And they said, well, you really know who I am, don't you? You know I like trucks. You bought me a truck for my Christmas gift. You have to see something in the children in order for them to be something. But here we go again with this ASHAY. So you come into my organization. You put your stats and your profile on file. You are now a functioning contractor where you contract out your services to the schools to be on the M team and contract out your services in the church. Now we then network with the churches. When the child is troubled in the school, we don't turn to the psychiatrist. We go to our preachers and hold the M team meeting and bring in the spiritualists to talk about, let's see this child. Let me see if the child is an indigo child. Have you ever thought about that? Most troubled children are indigo children. They've been here before. They know this climate. And they are more advanced than you are. They're clever. They're clever. Dress ain't cost them but $2, but they clever. They clever, as Erykah Badu would say. And those are the children that you appear to think that are troublemakers and that are ahead of their time. But they're the indigo children who have a veil over their eyes, who can see clairvoyantly into the lives of others. They can predict. They can dream dreams. They're your indigo children, and you don't know what to do with them. And some of the teachers don't either. So what must we do? As you come into my Oracle Divination Network, you will have access to my website. That website you can have free membership if you like, with minimum services. But with the VIP Plus, you have access to my store, which carries all the tools that a priestess needs and wants to order. And you have access to many other Apetbees, InYanifias, priests and priestess, where you can network. It is a network quarter. We're working on our first webinar we have set up to talk about our priesthood and responsibility in the community. We're supposed to be working, not hovering our gift, because you will soon lose it. And some of us are sitting on our gifts right now where we're not able to use them. I'm only able to use mine in the respect of lecturing online. They're hidden themselves so deeply in the underground that we can't find them. But this will be an effort to bring them out, because we're calling them out, and with the Spirit, we're sending the Spirit in to go get them, because they're needed in the classroom. They're needed. And your gifts must be given away, and your gifts are given without repentance. You got to give the gift away. Love to love. Ooh, we got love. Ooh, we got love. You got to give the gift away. Oh, you got love. Ooh, you got love. You got to give that gift away. And the gifts are given without repentance. How can you hold a gift from your Babylon who saw you petrified in your own ways, pulled you up, gave you a name, called down the Orishas for you, and placed your mother and your father on your head, Yaminye, O Batala, and they're not working, and they're not in the process of accumulating work, and there are many that needs to be doctored on, and many that needs to be healed. We've got so many people that need to go through a healing process, and they've been damaged from their home life and from their mothers and their fathers' lack of instruction. So now there is a need for a balm in Gilead. And my question is there a balm in Gilead? Is there a priest or a Apetbee, an InYanifia, or a priestess in your neighborhood that needs to be put to work, that needs to file their credentials in a directory where someone can find them and be able to utilize them? And every home should have a recommended priestess that can go in the home, that can offer up divining and readings for the all-time problems of family affair. Because this will put you to work. Then maybe down the road, when you become professionalized enough, we can get you on the roster where you're reimbursed through insurance as alternative medicine. Now, I'm saying this because at one time, our dear President Obama talked about alternative medicine men being endorsed for their credentials and being reimbursed. This could happen if you organize yourself enough to make yourself professional where you can fill out a claim for reimbursement for your services. For your services, because you have put many hours in and time. I know I have. Because I went beyond the years of service in ministerial school as I did with IFA training, 5 years to be exact, and still counting, because you never finish being a devotee. And if you're a devotee out there and you're looking for a place to go where discussions are being had about the spiritual things of life, and the ability for indigo children to develop their skills and their self, and to be able to use their clairvoyantness to see into the lives of others, to hear clear audio, things that are not being said here in this United States, to be able to read auras. All these things are going to be freely talked about on my website, as well as we have a family life education system that actually will entertain those types of thoughts. That is open to you too. and under Lilly Institution for Exceptional Education, Weebly.com. That has been open for a while now. We are bringing the priests, Apetbees, InYanifia, and Priestess together. This is where our said we wanted an army. Well, that is the making of an army. Add a little sugar, honeysuckle roll, and a great big expression of happiness. These are the makings of you, the makings of you. Add a little sugar, honeysuckle rain, and a great big expression of happiness. Who could have missed the making of you, the making of you? That's right. As we would hear our dear brother sing that song, this is the beginning of the makings of taking our priests and spiritualists and using them for good in our community, not hiding them away and using them to construct problems for other people who are looking for readings for the wrong reason, but to master the skill and to bring it into the educational system would be the right way to go, because then you would have much success and winning those souls who were destined to go down the pipelines into the prison institution. We can rapture those children out of the fire. We can bring those children back into compliance and mainstream them back into the classroom. But we have to talk about homeschooling first. This is where you will find a large number of your priests and priestess in the homeschool. Every homeschool should have an assigned priestess as a facilitator to guide the spirit. I know these are not religious schools, but we're not talking about religion. We're talking about guiding the spirit realm, blessing the areas that these children are teaching in, making sure spirits don't trap themselves in those homeschools, allowing those specialists to come in and guide meditation, doing guided meditation. So we put the nature of the spirit in a child. The spirit of a child is taught through Montessori. It is a part of the curriculum, and we must make the spirit of a child the part of the homeschool curriculum. We talked about African-centeredness, then we certainly must have African spirituality at the center of the curriculum, because without it, your African spirituality falls apart, because it's all hinging on the African spirituality. That's where the education comes out of. Everything comes out of our culture, our spirituality, and we must have that as a part of our teaching. Otherwise, you're teaching the child half-sidedness. They have nothing to hinge their hope on. Our hope must be hinged on the reason why we believe in a higher force. We must know where this high frequency comes from, and it comes from a higher source. It just didn't roll in out of the water, and it just didn't fall off the sky. It was always there, and the higher force is within us. So we teach the child how to get in touch with God through getting to sit with themselves and learn themselves. And as they learn about themselves, they learn about their higher force and who God is. And the best thing you can teach a child, not to fear God, but to know God, to know the mindset of God, and to be able to cohabitate with God, and to be able to collaborate on one accord. These are your miracle workers. When they know that God is working with them on one accord, then they can do great and wondrous things, greater than Jesus did. Not just walk on water or feed 5,000 with 5 loaves, or do all of these things like calling Lazarus out of the tomb, but he could do real things to make changes in the school, to bring alchemy in the school, to bring the finances in the school. These children are powerful. Sit them down through meditation and allow them to meditate during a period of the session in the classroom, so that these things are powerful where numbers are and children are able to get in contact with the spirit. Now, I'm telling you about the Oracle Divination Network because our people have got to get organized. We cannot have hidden out gifts underground, and only time they come out is when there's a problem on the internet. And then they're still not organized. We've got to be a professional staff of people. I've been on the air for 10 years, and my website is Oracle Divination Network, and I'm unapologetically spiritual, and I don't apologize for having the gifts. I've been a reader and a seer since a young age, so therefore I make no apologies about that site. I only introduce you to it and call you to it, and may the spirit go get you and bring you to the site so that you then begin to tune in and listen. It's been a quiet kept secret with 100 steady members that follow me for the last 10 years. And I'm inviting you to Oracle Divination Network that is online under Blog Talk radio station / Oracle Divination Network. You can find us there. And we're also now presenting on YouTube. But we are going to gather our people unto their own, and we're going to make them visible. This is no longer a secret society. The cat is out the hat now. We are going to be ministering to the schools. We are going to allow the schools to take advantage of the gifts. Some of us are credentialed. Some of us have bachelor's degrees, associate degrees, master degrees, PhD degrees, and they're not working. This is what society wants you to be scumming around, taking advantage of people, asking for exorbitant amounts of money for reading when you don't have to. Give your families a family plan, then work with the whole family and get a one-time fee for the whole year. And then you can work exorbitantly through the whole family. And then as we do this consistently and show our work needed not to be approved and showing it to the health department, then it's a possibility that you can be categorized as alternative medicine and be reimbursed in the future is what we could work toward. But we have to work towards something. We have to start in these schools to be able to go in to be a behavior therapist in the schools, to work one-on-one with the child and offer the child an option that he cannot refuse if he is acting out in class, come up with a behavior plan that will steer that child away from his ill-approached behavior. And it's an emergency. So we're going to have to graft a lot of people in. They don't have to have teaching license. They don't have to be certified in nothing but an endorsement of training with the endorsement of initiation. And if they have a ministerial license, that's good too. But we have an emergency, a real emergency where children are failing in special ed. They're coming out with an inappropriate piece of paper that is good for nothing but trampling over. And they cannot execute jobs with this. They cannot go into the military with this. So it's an emergency. This is an all-out calling emergency for those gifted seers out there, those dreamers out there. They're clairvoyantly and they're empaths. If you're an empath and you're empathetic, you can heal. Empaths can go in a room and be an avatar and heal, because Jesus was known for his empathy, and he had empathy for the people, and the empathy allowed him to be an impact so he could heal, and you could heal too. We are in these churches too long. It's time to go to the highways and byways, because you are the healers. You are the ones that can go in with your magic wand and use your ASHAY to speak over these classrooms. Use your ASHAY to speak in these prisons, to uplift these people, to lift them to a state of prosperity, to lift them to a state of a prudent human being. We've got people that are not even prudent human beings. They've fallen so low than the refugee to the animalistic stage. Well, we've got to look at our or look at our chakras and see that we've got to climb up that ladder from the animalistic stage to the spiritualist stage. This is the age of the spiritualist hour. This is the hour that we must be looking at developing our people spiritually and developing those gifts that are laying dormant and using them in the hospitals and in the schools and in the penal institution, because this is where they're needed. You don't have anyone in the penal institution trying to rehabilitate these lost souls. These souls have gone astray and need recapturing. And you particular wardens must hear my voice, because you need to have a counselor in your establishment working one-on-one, if not in small groups, with rehabilitating for sure, because Ifa will mend their broken hearts. And we need to understand our children are not lost, they're not failures. They need to be repaired because the parents' teeth have been set on edge, have eaten these bitter grapes, and now the children are the direct response of their parents eating these bitter grapes. So now the children cannot act accordingly in the classroom. The behaviors are beyond approach. You cannot use corporate punishment, but you can use head knowledge on them and head washing. You can change their mind about their bad behavior and give them Iwa Pelu, good character, good conduct, and good behavior. So go after it. And also do tap in to our new nation and our network. Divination Network is the name. And you've been listening to Maddie Harvey's baby sister. And I want you to understand that we are here to bring solutions, to use the teachers to do a better job and come out of these classrooms and look at homeschooling our children and revamping our homeschool, not just with African-centered education, but with spiritualization, because that is where all knowledge comes from. You grab your culture, your religion comes out of it, and you're teaching for academics. But don't forget, teachers, you are being called upon to become more spiritual. Go back and get some spiritual teaching in the way of Ifa, Icon, or Yoruba teaching. Go in and get Santeria, you Hispanic, and begin to use these things in your community. They're needed. This is the medicine. This is the balm and Gilead that they've been talking about. You bring out the balm and Gilead and don't hide it or suppress it anymore, and let everyone know that it's available just for the asking. Turn no one away that has no funds or money. Turn no one away, and God will bless you. Wherever they come to you lacking and needing and don't have the funds for it, pray over them. Continue to pray over them. Give them the medicine they need. Give them the balm and Gilead, and watch how God blesses you for giving your time. I'm giving my time today to say that these people that join our membership, they pay for the membership less than $9 a month to be able to go to our website. You're not funding me. We also have classes for those people who are in the profession and practitioner who have no background and scientific background in the area of anatomy, physiology, okay, and medical term. So you could become this medical alternative doctor. You know your actual way of reading the charts and the record. That class is $60 because it's an online professional class. We also have that available for those priests and priestesses who want a more alternative background in medicine. They must have anatomy and they must have medical terms, because these are the foundational classes that they need. Those classes are forming now. And it's very vital that you understand I'm a retiree. A lot of my work I give off of donation time. So I'm asking you teachers to get involved with the homeschools and donate some of your time to these homeschools, helping them to get orchestrated. And if there are existing ones, go out there and support them and lend your hours to them as well. And as I said, this is an emergency. We must get the InYanifies, Apetbees, priests and priestesses back to work. And not just taking money under the table, but getting you orchestrated where you can post your skills and people can see what skills you have, and you could be paid accordingly based on your background. This particular directory will allow us to give you out as a referral, and they will know you exist because you have records on file. You've been verified, in other words. Thank you very much. And once again, I say straight ahead and into the future, Milwaukee. Get on the horn. Straight ahead and into the future, Gary, Indiana. Straight ahead and into the future, Garland, Texas. Straight ahead and into the future, Maryville, Indiana. Straight ahead and into the future, Avon, Indiana. Straight ahead and into the future. Thank you very much and have a great day. Oh, double and Baba Booey to y'all.